Welcome to Megapath Presents. I'm Ronnie Hayes, and today let's talk Here's Negan Part 15 and 16. 16 being the very end, and that was released today. Now, I didn't even do Part 15. Well, before we get into this video is going to be like the Game of Thrones discussion. There's no editing. My schedule is so packed, I don't even think I could get this video up if I did editing with it. So I do apologize. If you're new here, check out some of the other videos. They might be put together and polished a little bit better, a little bit more to your liking, and that might encourage you to subscribe and support the channel. So check those out. Let's jump right into this. I didn't do Part 15 because it finally wore me down, and I just didn't feel like driving to the comic shop just for Here's Negan. And once I even read it too that day, the next day, there was other things going on at the time. It just fell through the cracks. It wasn't that interesting. I think in that issue, the only thing that happened was Negan ripped barbed wire off of the thing. He was talking to the people he just ran into, and he was wrapping the barbed wire around it. And that was pretty much it. I think that was probably one of the least interesting issues for me personally. But Part 16, we have this mix of a little bit underwhelming, but also there's elements I really love. We get the first Lucille victim, given he died in like Part 14, I think, but we get the message here. The very first Lucille victim stands for this: stand with me, and anyone who tries to hurt us, anyone who gets in our way, will end up just like him. He's laying there, his eyeballs all out, just like Glenn. So this perfectly sets up where we meet him when he runs into Rick and them. Now, I am kind of underwhelmed that it didn't go further and introduce the, establishing officially the Saviors, because that's a bit different than his message here. And it didn't go even further, setting up the factory and their base and maybe how he even ran into the other communities. But they could be saving that for a different story, and that's cool if they are. Now, as far as going even further, I was really hoping they would take the story up from his origins all the way up to where he came out of the crowd and walked right up to Rick and gang. I thought that would have been just epic. There's still hope to do that. I don't know what it would be. I doubt they would do another serialized version of Here's Negan in the Image Plus, and I doubt they'd release like a Part 2. It just doesn't seem like it would fit what they're going for. They seem to be going for like Here's Negan, here is the story all in one shot. With that being said, the underwhelming moments and some of the other moments that I really loved, I feel like there's conflict here. Now, the stuff I really love is all the origins. It's not just a Negan origin. This is a Negan origin, Lucille origin of his wardrobe, like his leather jacket, the naked Lucille origin. Then you get the Lucille, the transformation with the barbed wire. That just recently happened from issues 15 to 16. You get the origin of the cut on his side, his scar. You get the origin of Dwight showing up. It would be cool. Again, this is where it conflicts. It would be cool to get the burn face stuff. You get the origin of Sherry, and then a little bit, it's ambiguous, and this is why I mean some of the story's a little bit choppy, but you do get the origin of Sherry and her interaction with Negan and the problems between Negan, Sherry, and Dwight, and that's essentially the origin of the wives, because Dwight sets that up later on in All Out War. He says Sherry was the first. So you get a lot of origin stories here. Even one of my favorites, the very first Lucille victim, that is something we're discussing if they were going to show when Negan first entered the TV show. So there's a lot of really awesome stuff, and then there's two things I think that hurts it. One, released the way it's released. I felt like in this last moment, there could have been another page to really just flesh it out. And you can't do that because they're releasing it in 4-page blocks. If you're new, it's 4-page blocks over the course of 16 months, 4 pages each month. So you couldn't just add another page unless they said, okay, this month it'll be 5 pages. And I think that kind of jams it up a little bit. Sure, you probably could have done that, but to keep it simple, you're restricted to tell the story in this way. And I don't know if that hurt the writing or helped the writing, because sometimes there was panels that go from panel to panel to panel. You know, days they're skipping, weeks they're skipping, months they're skipping, and they're ambiguous. And sometimes even the dialogue isn't telling you anything. It's just people talking shit. Not talking shit, but saying shit that doesn't even matter. You know what I mean? So there are some moments that were bummers. There are some moments that are totally awesome. I think if I sit down and read the story all in one sitting, I might walk away feeling a little bit different. Now that I'm saying that, have any of you guys sat down and read the Image Plus? You don't have to wait for the full issue to come out, the full Here's Negan story. But have any of you guys sat down and read the whole issue? Because I tell you what, honestly, releasing it in the 4-issue blocks, and I know I keep bringing up that structure, but at the end of the day, with this kind of ending, after over a year and a half, I kind of finished it and was just like, it was like reading it over the course of over a year and a half this way. By the end, it kind of just drained you down. It just sucked the life from it, I felt. Instead of possibly, if you had the opportunity to sit down and read it all in one shot. Then again, that's going against the whole point. The whole point is to support the Image Plus. The whole point is to support this to get its, completed release and yada, yada, yada. So I feel like if I sit down and read it in one shot, maybe I'll walk away feeling a little bit different. I feel like I'm going to end up tearing them out of the Image Plus. They're not worth nothing. My comic book shop has, Image Plus, the very first one, which is always, the first issue is always the most expensive, and no one's even buying it. It's a whole stack of them, so I'm probably just going to rip them out. And then later in October, they're going to combine the entire issue into the entire story into a hardcover book. We've gone over that a couple times. There's a softcover book that was in a blind box. It's mad expensive. I personally, unless you're a collector, grab it, definitely, because it's so rare. But if you want the story that is not complete, and I bring that up so much because there's actually somebody who's bidding on one, and they were so excited and contacted me, and I just poking around, was a little curious, and I was like, hey, is this because you're such a Negan fan or a collector? Because it doesn't have the entire story. And I don't know, I don't mean to sound like a dick, but I don't know if they were living under a rock or maybe just not watching the Here's Negan videos. But they didn't know that, and they were wow. Because we're talking, if you don't know, we're talking, these books are like, people are trying to get $300-400, maybe even more, and I don't even want to know what he paid. So yeah, and knowing that he got an incomplete book for the story, and we are gonna buy the complete version in hardcover for $20, he was livid. I mean, livid. So that's why I stress it. Because we're here for the fans. The idea of Megapath Presents is fan content created by fans, and that's why you'll see me sometimes side a lot hardcore with the fans, and when it comes to the companies, even ones I love, I'm like, no, that was wrong, don't do that. That's the only reason why I act like a big dick like that. So with that being said, let me know what you think about this story. If you want to get the complete book this October, it's going to be in a hardcover form. Yeah, whatever, I screwed that up. It's going to be in a hardcover book, the entire story for $20-25. Got a cool cover. I'm excited to pick up the full story. But I enjoy having a Negan backstory a lot for those individual moments with the origin stories. I do believe if there was any way possible whatsoever to get a revised version, and don't tell me it's not possible, it has to be possible, where you can add a few pages in between the story and add panels. I might be asking for too much, but just flesh out the story and make it so it isn't so choppy, and maybe give us a little bit more, and even include all the way up to establishing the saviors, establishing where they are at in their compound, linking up with the kingdom, getting them under their rule. Same thing with the hilltop, and the same thing with go right up to meeting with Rick and gang. I think that would have been awesome, or it would be awesome for a few years later, 5 years from now, getting a revised, bigger, I don't know, like 80-page edition that completes the entire origin story of Negan all the way up until when he meets Rick and gang. Anyway, I don't think there's anything much else to add to this. Like I said, it's difficult. It's 4 pages at a time, and sometimes there's really not much there to dive into. You guys let me know now, because this is one of those topics that I am extremely curious to see what you guys think and compare it to how I felt reading this. So, thoughts and thoughts and opinions down in that comment box. I'm done talking. It's your turn. And this is it. I just thought about it. This is it. Finito. No more Here's Negan. We've been reviewing this thing for a year and a half. And yeah, I think the last one will be reviewing the complete book. What the hell? We'll add that to the Here's Negan playlist come October. I'll see you guys back here in this playlist to review the Here's Negan hardcover book. All right. I'm done. I'm done talking.